What's up, y'all? This is Devin Dawson. Welcome to Truck and a Story to Tell, where we ride around in my truck with some good friends, new and old, and we just tell stories about their journey of how they got to where they are now. Let's hop in.
Yeah, man, I swear I'm gonna pay you back one day. Yeah, you can take that to the bank, 'cause I got a song, I got a story to tell.
I've got my beautiful wife, Leah Grace Durrett, aka Leah Grace Sykes, aka Leah Dawson, aka Lulu, aka Good Girl Lulu. Anything else I missed?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
Cool. You excited for this?
I am excited.
Are you nervous?
No.
No?
No.
I feel like I'm a good interviewer.
You are.
So, for the people that don't know you, just start out with how long you've been in Nashville and where you grew up and what you do.
Yeah, I've been in Nashville for 5 years now, and I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, and came here for school, came here for Belmont, did music business, and have been writing music since I was like 12 years old.
What kind of music do you do here in Nashville?
I do pop R&B.
I'm going to interview like I don't know you.
I know. I think that's the weirdest part about it.
I thought it would be cool to take this opportunity to tell a story about how we met, and I want to get your side of it. We
You love
originally,
this story.
I know, I do. I try to tell it a little less details
His
than you.
is very hyperbolic and not at all how it went down.
Well, it's how it went down. It's just not as many details. We originally met at Belmont. We both went to college at Belmont University here in Nashville, and I'll start it and I'll pass it off to you. I remember doing was I graduated at that point? No, I was
No, you
still.
were
It was
still
my
in
last
school,
semester, I think, and I did like what they call a convocation, where essentially I come and speak. I was like writing songs at that point. I had like a cover song that kind of had blown up at the time, and so they asked me to come speak and just inspire students or whatever, right? And I remember afterwards, you came up and just introduced yourself, and I said hi. But I had a significant other at that point, and so did you, right? And so the thing that I always say that kind of sounds messed up is that I don't remember that interaction.
He doesn't remember me.
But when you told me that was when we first met, I knew exactly when it was. I just didn't remember it was you without you telling me, because again, I had blinders on. I was I was in a relationship.
Yeah,
so.
which honestly, I've never been offended by that, actually. I was talking to some of my girlfriends about this last weekend, where, yes, you didn't remember me, but also that just shows your loyalty. I was just networking. I was just doing my thing. I was like, this guy is writing in Nashville. That's what I want to be doing. I'm going to go introduce myself. So.
Fast forward a couple years. I'm going to let you pick it up.
Okay, from here on out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I had introduced myself to him, and then he didn't remember me. And then he commented on one of my videos of me singing. And I remember telling my mom, because at this point I was single, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's on tour with Maren Morris. I was so excited that he reached out to me, and that was it. He didn't reach out to me again,
Well, I just said, I said something like, I love your voice.
Yes,
or something like that,
it
right?
was like that. Fast forward like another 4 months, and I'm coming back from spring break in Destin, and had been posting all these bikini pictures of me on the beach. And who shows up in my DMs but Devin Dawson?
What did I say, though?
You said, you are beautiful. I'm jealous of the weather. I'm in Minneapolis. I'd like to take you out.
Yeah, I said something like...
Like when I get back.
Yeah, I just said, you're absolutely gorgeous, and I'd love to take you out sometime, essentially. Which, yes, I did slide into the DMs.
Did.
But the way I tell it is I just leave the DM part out, and I just say... Yeah, I just told her I thought she was.
Online.
I just told her I thought she was beautiful and I wanted to take her out, and everyone's like, "Really? Is that simple?"
You can't do that. You were cheating people out of the truth.
I know. Well, they'll know now. That's the point of this, right? Because we ended up hanging out like the next day.
No, it was that night. It was that night. We were driving home from Florida,
and I was flying home.
And you were flying back from Minneapolis, and we hung out that night.
So that night I came and I picked you up, and I was in my old 99 all-black Chevy. What do you remember? What was your first thought about my truck?
I remember there was the bench seat, and that's what I miss a lot.
Yeah.
Because when I first got in the car, I wanted to slide over, but I was like, this is too forward. I can't do that.
Sounds like a straight-up country song.
Our first date, honestly, was very similar to this.
And we went out, and we just sat at the bar. because we could be same-siders without feeling weird about sitting on the same side.
We still do that.
I know I brought up John Mayer like really early on because I was
know.
I need to know how you feel about John Mayer.
I could tell it was a barometer. I could tell it was like a test.
You instantly knew a lot about John Mayer and were a huge fan. Well, I remember we just had an awesome night, and then I drove you home in my truck, and I feel like you did slide over into the middle
I did.
of the bench seat.
I remember I would always put my arm around you, and it was annoying to you because then you couldn't.
having an arm behind me.
And you weren't shy about it.
Like,
You kept like grabbing my arm and being like,
Don't put your arm around me. No, and I think the other thing I remember is that I had just gotten out of the studio and I had just recorded Dark Horse.
Yep.
And I had like a rough mix in my CD player.
Yep.
And I played Dark Horse for you, and
I remember that.
you loved it.
You played it on a CD.
Yeah, it was a CD.
Actual CD, yeah.
It didn't have, that was the only thing that the radio played. That's the story of how we met, and then we just proceeded to fall more in love. That's cheesy as hell, but you are, you're a pop artist and a songwriter in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And that obviously comes along, with certain difficulties in this climate of country music, just being the hometown,
Yep. Well, honestly, I am a pop artist in Nashville, but I'm also just a songwriter in general in Nashville. And I feel like that's one of the beautiful things about country music and everybody who lives here and is pursuing music here is that the songwriting is just incredible. And so, like, I've never felt out of place in that, world of things because I've always felt embraced as a songwriter. As far as pop goes, it is definitely harder. The industry is definitely built for country music. But one thing that I feel like I've learned over time is that it is inclusive, but also people listen to music everywhere. And that's one thing that I've loved being an independent artist is seeing the reach that I can also have in Nashville, with just the people who, listen to Spotify and my number one country is Brazil.
You have the ability to almost take on the label of being somewhat of a trailblazer in this town. There's a really cool group of people who do pop in Nashville, and it's growing every single day, and there's some insanely talented people here.
I think a lot of it in the beginning, and I've definitely found my team now, but I think it was finding writers and artists whom I aligned with.
Who you're safe with, I guess?
Who I was safe, who wouldn't laugh at my stupid ideas that actually were really honest.
Yeah.
And also the smaller that, or the tighter that group became, the more we were able to kind of just knock out songs and relate to each other. I think it's really important to have that community of people who understand where you're coming from. They know your sound, they know what you're going for. And I think that was the longest thing, especially being a young, new artist. You're already trying to figure that stuff out on your own. And so being in a different town that maybe embraces a different style a little bit more, it felt like it took a lot longer to find that sound.
I think you're still beating around the bush a little bit, and you're trying to be a little political. Why is it hard to be a pop music artist in Nashville? Because
I feel like in Nashville and with country music, they think the only way to break is on radio. And pop isn't really that way. Billie Eilish only got played on the radio because her streaming was so great, and they had to play her on the radio. Yeah. Sure. And, Chance the Rapper also being independent and literally is not even signed to a music label, doing everything that he's doing, I feel like you're not going to see a country artist do that. And so Nashville is very
ingrained in the way we do things.
It is ingrained in the way that you do things. And honestly, sometimes what I found is that it kind of sounds like you have to convince people that you are proud to be an independent artist sometimes because the labels are so, held to this super high, oh my God, you're signed. But you can be miserable and not pursuing your dream even if you're signed. It's kind of like that girl or that guy that's yeah, I'm single right now. I love being single. And people are like, do you though? I'm yeah, I love being independent. I no question about it.
Maybe what's one other thing that has really helped you that maybe you could share with somebody else if they're dealing with the same kind of problem in their own way?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the times I question if I'm even good. I think a lot of people do that. And, I've spent so many years doing this with, you could say, success is totally relevant, but without having this huge, Lizzo cut or, massive things like that. And, this comes from a friend, so obviously having friends helps a lot. But I just try and keep this visual in mind where, a miner can, mine away looking for that gold, right? And go for years and years, and the second that he stops and he puts the pick down,
Get
somebody
as
else
close.
could pick up the pick and hit it, and there's
Yeah.
gold right there. And it's like, somebody might find gold right on the surface,
As
but
a
that
pop music artist in Nashville,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
But you know, at the end of the day, like, we're gonna strike gold eventually, and
Just
like
trust your gut and know that you are good, and like,
exactly,
you know,
and
like,
make music that you like.
Yeah,
I
why
think
would you
that's
do
what-
anything that you don't love?
Yeah.
Like, if you start with that, then everything else will hopefully fall into place. And at the very least, it's just gonna feel genuine. It's
Yeah.
gonna feel honest. Couple morals of the story. One, for me, I'll say the first one, and I'll let you have the second one. Don't be afraid to slide in the DMs,
Don't be afraid.
because it could lead you to your future wife and
It's
some
true.
happiness that you never
Be
knew
bold.
you even find. Be bold, but be real, and be normal, and don't be creepy. Just be honest. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to go out on a limb and tell a girl she's beautiful. You know?
Yeah, and that also goes with finding your crew, finding your friends, finding your people. You know.
Be bold, right?
Be bold.
I love that as a moral. Just be bold, whether it's starting music in a town that doesn't necessarily has adopted that sound yet, or whether it's trying to find the love of your life.
Yeah.
Be bold. Well, thank y'all for watching this episode of
Thank you.
Trucking a Story to Tell. We had a hell of a time telling our story,
That's right.
so I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, I swear I'm gonna pay you back one day. Yeah, you can take that to the bank, 'cause I got a song, I got a story to tell.